you, Cipriano Aguilar Jr.?
Cipriano, you need to unmute yourself and answer the question. Someone has a lot of feedback. I heard it earlier there.
Yeah, he's still muted.
Cipriano, unmute yourself. I think his wife's helping him with it.
It's not letting me.
Okay, then.
Okay,
There
there
you
I am.
are.
Yes. Yes, my name is Cipriano Aguilar Jr., sir.
All right. And you're the same Cipriano Aguilar Jr. that was charged with theft in case number 622140. And what is the charge in 622141, Mr. Edelman?
141 is evading arrest or detention, Your Honor.
All right. Now, it's my understanding there is a plea agreement, Mr. Johnson.
Yes, Your Honor.
Tell me briefly what that is.
Basically, both are JSAT. And on the paperwork, it wouldn't let either he or I check off that he is a U.S. citizen. So if you can check that off, and you can
Very
ask
good.
him.
That's
Yeah.
good to know.
Okay.
All right. Mr. Aguilar, would you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear that in these proceedings, the information and responses you submit will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, sir.
Thank you. You may put your hand down. Mr. Aguilar, before we go into this proceeding, there's several constitutional rights and protections that I'm going to discuss with you. The first one is that you, in each of these cases, these constitutional rights and protections apply. First of all, in each one, you have the right to remain silent. That means you don't have to make any kind of statement. You don't have to answer any questions, and you don't have to submit written paperwork that has your signature, especially papers that confess or admit to wrongdoing. Do you understand you have the right to remain silent?
Yes, I do, sir.
You also have the right to a jury trial. That means that you and your attorney and the state's attorneys would select from a random pool of jurors 6 people who would hear your case. They'd hear the evidence, the testimony, look at the materials, whatever is there, and decide whether you're guilty or not guilty. That's essentially what is called the right to a jury trial. Do you understand you have that right?
Yes, I do, sir.
You also have the right to cross-examine, question, or challenge witnesses. That's called the right to confront witnesses. Also, people call it the right to face your accusers. That right would be exercised by you and your attorney asking questions, cross-examining, and challenging anyone who testified. You understand you have the right to confront your witnesses.
Yes, I do, sir.
There's also a right called the right to appeal. After all this is said and done, you yourself or your attorney by himself or the two of you together could demand that a higher court review the official record, which is being prepared by our court reporter, Ms. Kayleen Rivera. You'd have the right to demand that a higher court review the official record, the evidence, the testimony, materials, for whatever challenge you wanted to make. Now, that's called the right to appeal, and it would have to follow the right paperwork and the time limits that are involved. You understand you have the right to appeal?
Yes, I do, sir.
There's also a right to demand that this proceeding, in each of these cases, be held in the open public courtroom. That right at this time is we have a special circumstance called COVID pandemic. And because of that, we're not having the open public courtroom hearings as required by Constitution and laws. We are, though, doing this by video conference. And that is because you and the state are agreeing to do that. That is, you consented to handle this by video conference. It is being live streamed on YouTube. So anyone that wants to can tune in. They can watch the whole proceeding, see us all, and hear and see what's going on. That's called the right to an open public courtroom. You understand that you have that right?
Yes, I do, sir.
Right, all these rights, Mr. Aguilar, all these rights, you give those up when you go through a plea. And on each of these cases, they apply. And on each of these cases, if you consent and you enter a plea, you're giving up these rights. You understand that?
Yes, I do, sir.
All right, now I'm going to show you some paperwork. I will tell you that on all these papers, at the very top, they will have this, what I call identifying information. If you look on the screen right now, you see at the top cause number. This one is 622140. The second one will be 622141. Then it says the state of Texas versus Cipriano Aguilar Jr. in County Court of Law number 5, Bexar County, Texas. Now, after that, identifying information which will be repeated on all the documents with one exception. Then you have the title of the particular document, this particular paper. This title is in all capitals and in bold print, dark print. This one is state's consent to video conference. I mentioned a moment ago to you that you and the state individually have the right to demand a hearing in the open public courtroom unless you consent otherwise. This one is signed by Andrew Harris Edelman. He has agreed on behalf of the county district attorney to do this by video conference. Now, did you understand that document that the state has consented?
Yes, I do, sir.
It would apply to both cases, 622140 and 622141. This document now is called a discovery acknowledgement. You notice the identifying information is repeated. Then you have discovery acknowledgement. There is a specific law. You see it referred to right there, the first line, Article 39.14 of the Code of Criminal Procedure. You don't have to worry about the technical name for it, but that law requires the state to share with you and your attorney and to allow access and acknowledge the materials, receipts, documents, any proof or evidence, to share that with you so that you and your attorney can make a fully informed and intelligent decision. This document is signed by the state's attorney and your attorney. They are attesting, they are saying, yes, that law has been obeyed. The state has complied, and it applies to both cases. You understand that?
Yes, I do, sir.
Thank you. Now, the next document is yours. That's where you, in fact, consent to the video conference. You see that right there? Defendant consent to video conference. That's your signature there?
Yes, sir.
What happened to the junior?
Es que no cabía, sir. I'm sorry.
No problem. Don't worry about it. I'm just teasing you a little bit. All right. Here we have, again, the repeat of the identifying information. Then this document is called Defendant's Waiver of Constitutional Rights and Court's Admonitions. This one is, all the documents are important. This one is particularly so. It starts off with saying, you're saying that you don't need me to read all the papers to you as far as the ones that accuse you. The second sentence that is separated from the first one says, you know what you're charged with. In this case, it's theft, $750 to $2,500. In the second case, 141, it's the charge is evading arrest. This particular one says nolo contendere. It says, what is it? Do you read that? What does it say?
No lo puedo mirar muy bien porque no tengo mis anteojos, sir.
Okay.
Perdón.
Did you review this carefully, Mr. Aguilar?
Yes, I did, sir. Yes, I did. En el otro teléfono. Ajá.
All right, both of them.
Yes, I did, sir.
Mr. Johnson, did you, as the officer of the court and as the attorney for this defendant, did you review this document on both cases, but in particular, we're looking at this one here. Did you review this document carefully with Mr. Aguilar?
Yes, Your Honor.
Or you were able to communicate with him?
Yes.
All right. Mr. Aguilar, The rest of this document is divided into 15 numbered sections or divisions. The very first one tells you what the punishment can be for the offense that you're pleading to, for the crime that you're accused of. There's a vertical stack of little boxes, and next to each one, there's a declaration or a statement of a range of punishment. Your charge has one check mark in all the boxes. It says Class A. The fine can be $0 to $4,000 and jail 0 days to 1 year in jail. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do, sir.
All right. Now, number 2 says that you understand you have a right to a jury trial, to cross-examine witnesses, and a right to remain silent. That you voluntarily waive or give up those rights. Is that correct? Are you
That's
doing
correct. That's correct, sir.
that? All right. I want to, all of these paragraphs, all are important. Some of them don't apply to you. There's one talks about sex offender registration program. Have you ever been involved in that?
Never in my
No,
life.
I wouldn't think so. All right. Be aware that the deal you've made with the state, by law, I am the judge and I have the requirement, the authority and the requirement that I have to say yes or no to the deal. And if I say no to the deal, you can start all over again. If I give you a punishment that's heavier than what you agreed to, it's even if it's $1 or more on a fine, then you can start all over again. You understand that?
Yes, I do, sir.
Like, where were you born, Mr. Aguilar?
San Antonio, Texas.
All right.
I'm a US citizen.
Okay, the record will reflect that you are, the court has found that you are a U.S. citizen. You signed this document, Mr. Aguilar?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Johnson, you signed that document?
Yes, Your Honor.
Very good. This document and all the documents that we're talking about will be part of the record in this case and in the second case, which is 622141. Here, in both cases, you will see this declaration. This is, again, the identifying information. And the title in this case is Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal. Again, there's a vertical stack of boxes, and each one says something about the right to appeal. The fifth one, which is the one right at the top there, is the one that I will have marked on both cases. It says this is a plea bargain case and the defendant has no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do, sir.
And you and your attorney both signed this document?
Yes, we did, sir.
All right. Now, what you're going to be shown next, with the computer's being reloaded, but what you're going to be shown next is called a plea agreement. There's one for the 140 case, which is 622140, and there's one for the 622141 case. The plea agreement, it starts off at the top with identifying information. It doesn't mention county court files, the only difference between that and the others. The first two boxes I am having marked. The first one talks about the right to remain silent. We've talked about it 2 or 3 times now.
Yes, we did. Yes, sir.
The second one is the defendant is a U.S. citizen. That will be part of the record. Then there's a section right here in front of you, defendant's acknowledgements. There's a vertical stack of boxes. There's 5 of them in this case, and they're all checked off. Mr. Kirby, did you and Mr. Aguilar check off those boxes?
Yes, Your Honor.
And is it your report to this court as an officer of the court that Mr. Aguilar understood these sections, and you have no doubt that he understands what he's saying to this court on the record?
He did, your judge, and he does.
All right. And that's on both cases, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Aguilar, to the charge of theft, what is your plea, sir?
To the charge of theft.
Mr. Aguilar, you remember I told you no contest means you're not saying you're innocent, you're not saying you're guilty, you're just not fighting the charges.
Yes, no contest, sir. Yes.
Okay. Now, just for the record, Mr. Kirby has counseled you, but I need to tell you that a plea of no contest in this court is taken as a guilty and is sufficient for me to convict you and punish you. You understand that?
Sí, señor. Sí, señor.
All right. Now, I am ordering you to appear in the offices of County Court of Law number 5, just like it says at the top of the screen there, and have the staff here place your thumbprint on the documents that are required by law. Is that clear?
That's clear, sir.
That's on both cases, okay?
Judge, can I ask you real quick, is the morning or the afternoon better for him to go down there?
It's up to him. The people will be here. They'll assist him.
Okay.
It's probably better in the afternoon because in the mornings I'm doing the docket and they usually have to assist me.
Okay.
All right. Jail sentence, Mr. Aguilar, in case number 622140, I find you guilty. I sentence you to 4 days, Bexar County Jail. $0 fine, 0 court costs. You are granted credit for time served. Time and money run concurrently. You, the court finds that you have satisfied the judgment. And in case number 622140, you owe nothing further to the state or to this court on this matter. And because of that, you are free, except that you have to come in and put your thumbprint on the papers. Is that understood?
That's understood, sir. Thank you.
All right, now in 622141, the charge there is evading arrest. That is also, as I mentioned earlier, a Class A misdemeanor with the same punishment range as the first case. There you see it in front of you. There's the state's consent to video conference, just like in the other case. Then there is the acknowledgement of discovery, which is the document that the state and defense attorneys signed saying that that law has been obeyed and complied with. Then you have the consent, your consent to do this by video conference. Then you have the defendant's waiver of constitutional rights in court's admonitions. It's the same document as the other one, but this one talks about the evading arrest and detention. This one also, looking at the 15 divisions of the document, talks about Class A misdemeanor, the fine from $0 to $4,000, in jail from 0 days to 1 year. All of these documents are the same as the first one, the 140 account. And you're fully aware of this, is that correct?
That's correct, sir.
All right. This has been signed by you and your attorney, is that correct?
That's correct, sir.
All right, in 622141, repetition of the previous situation, you number the 5th box in the trial court certification reminds you, and I remind you here, that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. You're giving that up. You have signed that. You have signed that, and so has your attorney.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now you're going to see again, this is coming up, reloading the computer, this plea bargain agreement, the plea agreement. It is essentially the same as the previous one, except that this one is a charge of evading arrest. Again, the first 2 boxes will be check marked. This is 622141. You're reminded of the right to remain silent. I find that you are a U.S. citizen, and it is so stated in the records. Evading arrest is the charge that you're now pleading to. What is your official plea?
No contest, sir.
All right, based on your plea and the evidence, I find that you are guilty. Just like in the previous case in 140, you are to come in and have your thumbprint affixed to the different papers as required by law. Based on your plea and my finding you guilty, I sentence you to 4 days Bexar County Jail, 0 fine, 0 court costs. You are granted credit for time served, time and money run concurrently. The court finds that you have satisfied this judgment and you owe nothing further to the state of Texas or to this court on this particular case. That means that you are released, you're free. And Mr. Aguilar, I keep hearing a little child. Who is that child?
This is my little boy. His name's Lucky Luciano Aguilar.
How old is he?
He's 3 years old, sir.
Mr. Aguilar, maybe people think that I preach, but I need to just say this to you as a matter of conscience. The kind of life that your son is going to live depends on the love and care you show him, and very much the example you give him, good or bad. You and I have always seen little kids, little boys that walk around walking just like their fathers, talking just like their fathers. They try to wear clothes just like their fathers.
Yes, sir.
Good example is something they will follow. Bad example is something they will follow. I want you to think about that.
Yes.
What kind of life you want for that little guy?
I want the best life he could ever have.
Then
Better
give him good example so he can do that.
Yes, sir.
All right?
I will, sir.
All right. God bless you and your family. Be safe.